you know, and it doesn't mean they can't change, and it doesn't mean that God doesn't love them and that kind of thing. It's just, you know, they haven't accepted yet. But you know, you can tell, you know, the gospel message, if it's missing, if whatever it is you're involved in, if it's missing, if it's not, if they're not talking about the gospel, and it doesn't involve the creation and the fall and the state that we're in and the sin state we're in and the resurrection, the atoning resurrection of the Son, and forgiveness and faith, then if one or more aspects of that is missing, then you know it's not the same gospel, okay, as what you know is presented. You know, so you're just advised that you know to beware of that. You know, and to you know you should be, if you're going to be in a position to teach something to your children, you should know what all the parts are. And so that's why I said, okay, you be kind, have a love for one another, spread the gospel message. This is what the gospel message is. But realize if you're still the only, and this is difficult for people to sometimes take and understand, is the only people who are free slaves are people who are free. Okay, so Johnny's free, and so he does as commanded. This is his one of his things, and that he does. He goes to the prisoners and he spread, you know, tells them, oh, you should love one another because you know God loved you, and so you know it's that kind of thing. And but there next to it is the paper of the photograph of him. And now people in Grant are like Johnny for Congress, okay, you know. So ain't that the way it all goes? You know, so you do something, the next thing you know, oh, they want to, you know, politics or whatever gets in. But, you know, I don't think Johnny's having any part of it, but he is kind of like, wow, I made the front page, you know, how could that happen? And so that may happen to you. You may wind up on the front page for a good reason, not for a bad reason. And, you know, just don't let the pride of life go to your head. Johnny does not let pride overtake him. He stays humble. He stays doing what he's doing. And, you know, I threw that in there because a lot of times people kind of get going with that kind of thing. Looking at, like I said before, I, me, my, you know, and they get self-focused. Not Johnny. He stays on track. He stays true to his mission. So here we are. You know, the good news. And so Johnny he's an astronaut now, you know, and everybody wants to be an astronaut. I personally, I like my feet on the ground, but you know, there's a lot of people who want to fly. But you know, Johnny he's taking the message to Mars, okay? And so this is kind of a futuristic type thought process, you know, that there's a colony on Mars, which there's a belief out there that that could actually happen, and who am I to judge whether or not that's possible or not? I mean, um, I, man has been able to accomplish many things that, you know, if you took people, you know, 800 years ago and brought them up to this point in time, they would be like, wow, you know, kind of thing. So, yeah, there's no telling what it'll look like in 800 years. And just because the kingdom comes to the earth and the millennial reign begins doesn't mean that man stops, that we just kind of go into to a state of stasis, or you know, nothing happening. I think a lot of works, a lot of activity, a lot of things are going to come into the creation at that point, that it's going to be, you know, you wouldn't recognize, based on the way it is today, you wouldn't recognize it then.